After passing the stimulus, Democrats should have continued to propose middle-class-oriented programs and built on the partial success of the stimulus. But unfortunately, Democrats blew the opportunity the American people gave them. We took their mandate and put all of our focus on the wrong problem: health care reform.
All right. Wow. What the heck was Charles Schumer thinking? Joining us now is Noah Rothman, associate editor for HotAir.com. Hello, Noah. What? We're going to get to a lot more your latest two posts on HotAir.com. But I want to talk about this because the media kind of glossed over this. He's at the National Press Club. He's Harry Reid's number 2 or 3. And he's saying it was a mistake to pass Obamacare. They should have concentrated on other things. Because health care wasn't broken.
Yeah, it's a remarkable statement. He said essentially that it was not only that it was a political mistake for the Democrats to pursue health care reform at a time when Americans wanted focus on jobs and economic reform packages, but that it was a policy mistake as well, because he also said that, and I'm quoting, to aim huge change at such a small percentage of the electorate made no political sense, meaning that in order to reform the healthcare system, in order to cover 30 million uninsured and change everybody's healthcare in the process, was a politically foolish move that anybody could have seen a mile away, and many did. This has resulted in a huge backlash from a significant amount of former Obama speechwriters and staffers, but also Democrats on both sides of the moderate progressive divide within that party. It's something akin to a civil war, if the press would call it that.
Yeah, because of course there's always the Republican Civil War, but this was huge. I thought when I read the headline at first, not in your story, but when I read the headline somewhere or whatever, I said this can't be accurate. It must be, but it was right on. All right, let's shift to Elizabeth Lawton, congressional aide for a Republican from Tennessee, Fincher. Of course, she had to resign because she dared to make remarks which were a little over the top, but nonetheless about the first daughters. Where, the Bush daughters were lambasted.
Yeah, as a brief digression before we get to that, this story initially popped in a African-American centric blog, The Root.
TheRoot.com, yeah.
Root.com, which is a popular site, but it's not especially widely read among non-media types. It is widely read among media professionals. And this was the first place where this had arisen, and it exploded, just exploded over the holiday weekend. Within hours of it appearing on The Root, it was on the Sunday news talk programs being addressed by serious actors. So the progression of this story suggests to me, and I think a lot of other media professionals, as something that wouldn't have really had the legs that it did if it hadn't occurred over a very lazy holiday weekend in which there wasn't a whole lot to write about. And unfortunately, it popped in a very major way. And for her, while these comments were regrettable, she ended up having to resign today. But there is a significant media double standard when it comes to reporting on this, and in comments about Republicans or political figures who are closely related to Republicans, particularly children, that weren't especially well policed. And I have a post up on that on Hot Air today. That chronicles how these people were talked about in the press and by political professionals, and it didn't result in the just outpouring of genuine outrage and policing that you saw today and yesterday.
Yeah, that's the Elizabeth Lawton and the kids are off limits canard. Check it out at hotair.com. One more. You also talk about a poll that confirms that if the government shuts down, it'll be the Republicans blamed and not Barack Obama.
Yeah, it would be just the definition of insanity to try in the next the third time in a quarter century shutting down the government and to expect different results. The results are going to be precisely the same. Republicans are going to be blamed. And there's something of a debate within the Republican blogosphere about whether or not the last shutdown, while Republicans were blamed uniformly almost, with maybe a third of the electorate blaming the president and Democrats, but did it really hurt the Republican brand? The Republican brand has rebounded significantly. It's almost at near parity with Democrats. They performed extraordinarily well in the election. So there's something of a taste at this point to maybe try this same strategy one more time and really determine without outside of a control condition whether or not a government shutdown would really have a deleterious effect on the GOP brand one more time. It strikes me as a very foolhardy way to go about governing. I think if they did try this and they tried it again to replicate their successes in 2014 with a presidential electorate in 2016, they would not be happy with the results.
Of course, but you know, fact of the matter is, and you may agree or disagree, is that if the president doesn't sign something because he sees money is missing for a program, then it's he that's shutting down the government, not the Congress. But of course, the media will portray it in the way they always do. Noah, great talking to you, sir. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Steve. Talk to you soon.
All right, and we will be back with National Review editorial board member Ian Tuttle right after this. But first, here is Dr. Chauncey Crandall to tell you about how eating like a caveman can improve your heart health. Watch.
Heart disease is the biggest killer disease in America, and this doesn't surprise me. We are addicted to starches, sugars, fatty meats, and salt. People who live in countries with little heart disease eat very differently. One way some people stay heart healthy is by following what is known as the caveman or Stonehenge diet, so named because of its similarity to the way our prehistoric ancestors ate. People who follow this type of diet live off local fruits and root vegetables and get their protein mostly from fish and wild game they shoot themselves. Now, since most of us don't hunt or fish for all our protein, here are some simple tips on how you can start to eat like a caveman, modern day style. First, fill up on fruits and vegetables. Eat them first and you'll be less hungry. Feast on fish, which is rich in nutrients but not in calories. Choose fatty fish like mackerel, herring, sardines, and salmon, which are rich in heart-healthy omega-3 fatty acids. Get out and go for a walk. Remember, our ancestors were hunters and gatherers, so they didn't spend their time sitting in front of a TV or computer all day. If you live more like a caveman or a cave woman, your heart will love you for it. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thank you for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick, free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.